These are the 5 levels of Roblox Soccer games, starting with the low effort cash grabs that barely resemble football, all the way up to the games that can generally rival the top experiences. The games will get better and better in terms of quality and gameplay, all the way up to level 5. But before all that, let's start with level 1. Oh, and real quick, hit that like and subscribe button if you end up enjoying this video. Level 1 is what I will be labeling as the Slop category. These are the type of games that are almost blatant copies of other popular games on the platform, but with little twists that kind of incorporate the sport. Like this first game is called Steal a Ronaldo, which is a replica of the biggest game of all time, Steal a Brain Rot. They didn't even try to hide the fact that it's a blatant copy. Like, look at this. There's also this game called Spin a Soccer Card, which somehow averages about 30,000 players concurrent.
Surely with that many players, it's a good game, right?
Well, you're wrong. In this game, you open packs, get money over time, and open more packs. And as you progress, you get higher rated players into your base, making you more and more money. And that's it. That's what 30,000 people are playing. Or how about Goal Kick Simulator, where just like every simulator on Roblox, you do a singular thing as the gameplay. In this game, you kick the ball into the net over and over and over again. Those last games weren't even close to proper football games, but now we have level 2, low effort games. Now, as a quick disclaimer, just because the game is low effort does not mean it can't be fun. For example, we have this game called Touch Football, which may have some of the worst graphics I have ever seen. But even with these bad graphics, I actually do think Touch Football is a pretty fun game with its unique ball physics, different game modes, and overall strong community. But that doesn't change the fact that it's very obvious this game is low effort compared to the higher tier games. Goal Battles is another game that's also very unique, combining football with a battle royale, which can actually make for some pretty fun gameplay. Even so, it's very obviously overly colorful and low effort, with ball physics being very one-dimensional and having a very low skill ceiling. WPK is another game that falls into this category, with it being a penalty shootout tournament. Once again, very one-dimensional gameplay where you just take penalties and try to save them with no other purpose. But at level 3, we're stepping it up. This category is labeled as the anime games, most notably Blue Lock Rivals. All of the games in this category are based on the massive anime Blue Lock, and Blue Lock Rivals was by far the most successful. Now, as someone who's never watched the actual anime, I never really got into playing any of these games. However, I can definitely appreciate the quality. Games like Blue Lock Rivals, Azure Latch, and Soccer Zero are consistently praised for how well they recreate the Blue Lock experience on Roblox. One of the off-putting qualities of the games to me, however, are the cutscenes and how gimmicky this game can become. When I first tried to get into this game, the constant cutscenes and overpowered abilities were pretty off-putting. That's why I would actually categorize these games as more in the anime genre rather than the soccer or football genre. Although they're still sports games, if you had to put them into one category, it would be anime. Even though they're not my type of game, I can't deny the production quality of these games. The animations, effects, and update frequency are miles ahead of most Roblox sports games. Level 4 is where we start getting serious. This category is labeled competitive games, and just like the name suggests, the games in this category are pretty sweaty. First, let's look at Real Football, which has arguably the best graphics out of any Roblox soccer game. Real Football suffers from one thing stopping it from having a much bigger player base, which is its difficulty for beginners. It implements tools as a way to control your character, and each tool has about 10 different keybinds linked that each do something different. Want to do a Rabona? Make sure to have the shoot button selected and click B. Want to dribble to the right? Select dribble and click T. Want to control the ball with your chest? Make sure to select tackle and press Q. You have to memorize every little input to even start to play the game properly. Not to mention how massive the stadiums are, making games extremely slow paced, which can discourage most people from wanting to grind the game. But Real Football is mostly seen as a competitive game, as most of its player base have one goal: joining Real Football League, which is a competitive league that only the top players can play in. Similar issues happen in games like TPS Ultimate Soccer and the Classic Soccer. where the gameplay is extremely slow-paced, having these tools to control the ball, and overall only attracting competitive players. Even TPS Street Soccer, which looks like a much more casual experience with its gimmicks such as power-ups, super curve, and fire shots, has its community being drawn to only the competitive aspect of it. Alright, before we get into the highest level, I want to give you guys a bonus level, the OG games. I didn't know where to rank these because while they're nowhere near as polished as modern Roblox football games, without them, Roblox Football wouldn't be what it is today. Let's start with the most recognizable one, Kickoff. With over 300 million visits since 2015, it used to be the biggest football game on Roblox. With extremely simple controls and difficult hidden mechanics and skills, it was a very well-made game for its time. But it just can't compare to the games that exist today. It actually received an update pretty recently, bringing the average player count from around 10 to 30. This used to be my favorite game back in the day, so I hope it makes a resurgence. Another OG game was Pro Evolution Soccer, which was a very popular competitive football game back in 2012, and its competitive scene is still going strong to this day, which is crazy. It's been 14 years. This game might be older than a lot of you guys watching this video. And the most OG football game on Roblox is TPS 10, which was recently re-released by TPS, the same developer who made TPS Ultimate and Street. He's basically the godfather of Roblox Football, and his older games definitely shaped football games on this platform forever. But enough about the past. Let's move on to the games that I believe sit at the very top level of Roblox Football. But after all the slop, low effort games, anime abilities, and competitive sweatfests, we finally made it to level 5, the pinnacle of all football games on Roblox. I could have listed at least 10 or more games for each category in this video, but for the top level, it was only reserved for 2 games. This category is called professional, simply because they are doing everything right for the sports representation in Roblox. And the first game in this category is Realistic Street Soccer. Averaging about 20,000 concurrent players, it's one of the biggest soccer games on Roblox. Now, the graphics are kind of poor, but they actually use Arthro, which is the human-like proportions. And unlike almost every game in this video, it is extremely beginner-friendly with a high skill ceiling as well, making it great for everyone, whether you're a casual player or you're a tryhard. With a 4v4 and 7v7 game mode, you can choose between a more slow-paced or fast-paced environment, depending on whichever you prefer. Now, all the positives that I said can even be applied to the next game in this category, FIFA Super Soccer. The biggest difference between the two, however, is that FIFA is actually partnered with this game, making it the most credible in this video. There's even a World Cup event happening right now as I'm recording this video, where there are licensed kits for every single team in the tournament, and even events happening in-game during the actual World Cup games. What separates these games from the competitive games at level 4 is the accessibility. In games like RF or TPS Ultimate, a new player can spend hours getting destroyed before understanding what's actually happening. But in RSS and FIFA Super Soccer, you can jump straight into the match immediately and still have fun while slowly learning the deeper mechanics. These games aren't perfect, but they're the closest thing Roblox has to a complete football experience. But of course, you can play whichever you prefer. Whew. We've gone from opening soccer card packs and stealing Ronaldos to fully licensed football experiences with World Cup events. That's quite the jump. And if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, I just want to say thank you so much, and comment down below what you guys think about my ranking.